Welcome to the Homeownership Podcast presented by Momentum Realty, located in Hanover, Massachusetts. This series covers all things real estate and the best practices for buying, selling, and owning properties. Now here's your host, Sean Maloney.
Welcome to episode 187. Can you fail a home inspection? I'm your host, Sean Patrick Maloney. Thanks for joining me this week. This week I want to talk to you about the idea of, is a home inspection something you can fail? I know oftentimes people use that terminology, but I want to kind of clear up the air and explain a little bit more how a home inspection works and how the grading systems are done, and overall the idea that a house doesn't just necessarily pass or fail. It's the individual items within the home that are looked at and then line itemed out based on different grading systems like good, needs attention. They do sometimes use a fail word, like something is in bad condition, but we got to remember a home inspector is indicating there may be a problem. Next step to the equation is to get out a contractor and to have estimates done and to find out what the problem really entails. The inspector is telling you, from what I'm visually looking at today, this needs attention. So then you bring in the next level professional who is the expert at the individual things such as carpentry, roofing, whatever it is that they indicate that, hey, this item right here looks a little bit suspicious to me. I would definitely have that taken to the next level. My trained eye, which is looking for defects like this, says that you need attention. Sometimes it's glaring. Sometimes it's big open things like rot. Other times it's cracked windows. It depends on the level, but they're going to list out everything. So ultimately speaking, like I said, a house doesn't just necessarily pass or fail. It's those individual items that pass or fail the inspection, but usually done on somewhere around 3 to 5 different grades. Every home inspector is different, folks, so not all of them are going to necessarily write their report up the same, but typically speaking, most of them now use internet-based programs where they're going to send you somewhere between 40 and almost 100 pages of information about the home. Now, don't get overwhelmed by it, because what they're going to do is they're going to mention everything. And ultimately speaking, I'm not telling you to take on a defect in a home by any means, and I'm not giving you home inspection advice by any means. Definitely take that your own way, but know that as a owner of a home, this inspection report is really a list of items that you should pay attention to over the years. Some of them might need to be attended to right away, and other ones are just for your knowledge. This is where it's there. Because remember, the home before you did the inspection was most oftentimes fully operable, right? So when they do this inspection, a lot of times they're unveiling things that are coming up in the future. So keep the report around, but also they're going to highlight everything. Like when it comes down to it, they take a lot of pictures, they use arrows in there, they then put notes by it, and it says, this has failed. The reason being was because of this. Please look further into this. So the report is very detailed. I see a lot of times the day of the home inspection, people frantically writing and everything. My suggestion is to take notes if you need to, but just pay more attention to where they're going and what they're saying that day, and don't get overwhelmed, and wait for the report and wait for everything to settle out, and really look it over with an open mind to the idea of, how do I want this to play out? Because after the inspector grades it and everything like that, the next discussion is this suitable to us? Are we going to move forward with the deal? Now, depending on whether you use a contingency or not, it depends on how your wording is set up, whether you have a fixed cost that you need to hit or you have just satisfactory results. That would be based on the way your contract was set up. But ultimately speaking, you're going to look at it and then say, are we going to try to renegotiate with this seller? Are we going to try to, say, ask for money off? And then from the other side, as a seller, are we going to try to renegotiate if there's problems, or are we just going to swipe it under the rug because we're getting a good amount of money for our home and we don't want the sale to fall apart? Now, that's a question for both sides, and home inspections don't necessarily just blow deals up. Oftentimes people work together towards a common good cause, whether it's that the seller, feels, okay, I'm going to take care of it. Now, when there's a buyer's market or a seller's market and it gets extreme, just realize they're going to take advantage of that. It's a business decision, not a mental or emotional decision. So when people don't have to spend $20,000, $10,000, $5,000, whatever type of problem there is, they don't take care of it in that market, don't be surprised. Don't get mad. It is how people make decisions. They don't know you. You're just doing a business transaction. You're buying a house off them. They're selling you a house, whatever it be. Now, realize, is it the best business-wise? I don't know. It depends on the person, right? And it depends on the situation and how they view money and all those things. Like, this is more of an ethical or a moral thing, how you feel about things like that. But the truth is, don't get too emotionally involved in the deal as much as it is more of a business transaction, especially when it comes to this. If the roof is failing and there's no way you can pay for it and everything, it's not that you're forcing the sellers to take care of it as a buyer. It's that you can't move forward if you got to do a roof. It wasn't like you wanted to get out of the deal. It's just that financially speaking, there's no way you can actually move forward. And the same goes backwards. Sometimes the sellers, they might seem demanding or whatever. You don't know the situation. I'm not telling anyone to bend, but I'm telling people to always be understanding of the situation and not get too emotionally deep versus factually deep, and listen to what people say. And hopefully you have a good home inspection. So guys, again, can't just fail a home inspection. Items can fail, but ultimately speaking, go over with a contractor after and everything should work out. Thank you guys so much for listening this week. If you're not already subscribed, please make sure to do so. Also tell everyone you know that owns a home about this podcast, because everyone should be listening so they can find out more and continue their journey along buying and selling homes with more success. Thanks again for listening this week, and I look forward to talking to you next week.